have a word of prayer. At this point in time, I invite Kiana Clark, the head girl of Selah Primary School.
Let us pray. Dear God, our Father, we come to you today, thanking you for leading us all the way, even into our 50th year. You continue to show that you care. In our hearts and minds are still the desire to obey your will. Though others may embrace wrong, help us Barbadians to be strong. We lift up the organizers of the essay and drama competition, imbue them with the vision to take us to a new horizon. Bless our system of education as it leads our children to higher heights. Father, in all your might, help our children to win the fight against the evils of this world. Touch them all tonight and set them aright. Father, grant us the compassion to love those who have lost their way or in any way have been led astray. Bind us together as one. Lord, bless this our nation. Amen.
Amen.
You can now take your seats. Acting Minister of Education, Senator Harcourt Husband, Minister of Health, the Honorable John Boyce, General Secretary of the Democratic Labour Party, Mr. George Pilgrim, Principal of the Combermere School and President of the Principals of Secondary Schools Association, Mr. Bear Paris, Principal of the Hilding Skeen Primary School, and also the President of the Principals of Primary School Association, Mr. Ivan Clark, Promotech Inc. and HP Store Corporate Sales Manager, Mr. Stephen Williams, all principals of the various schools, both primary and secondary, members of the Young Democrats, members of the Democratic Labour Party family, and today also a special welcome to the Elsie Secondary School students who's also celebrating their 50 years of anniversary. Good evening to all.
Good evening.
Under the theme Barbados, the Journey to 50, today is very special as we launch the school's engagement essay and drama competition today at the Amma Bay. This competition, we hope, will definitely awaken the students of the various schools, both primary and secondary, for as we celebrate our 50th anniversary later this year. At this point of time, I welcome Mr. Ivan Clark, the President of the Principals of Primary Schools Association. Let's give him a round of applause.
So pleasant good evening to everyone. Honorable Ministers, the President of the Association of the Secondary School, Mr. Bear Paris, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, principals, fellow principals, students, pleasant good evening to you again. I've been given 3 minutes to say a few words, and after hearing the young lady who said the prayer, I guess we could say amen and go home. Fine job, young lady. That's the sort of thing that we would want, that our students could stand before an audience and speak. We have some persons who are afraid of these things called microphones and audiences. So man did an excellent job. It's my distinct pleasure to make remarks on the launch of the school's engagement essay and drama competition. The Association of Public Primary School Principals is pleased that the Democratic Labour Party is associating with the development of the youth. We find it very interesting that you have chosen the area of writing and drama, and under the theme Barbados, a Journey to 50. The teacher and me asked the question, which 50? Is it the 50 that's gone, or that's the one to come? Well, the 50 that's gone, the last 50 years. I lived the last 50 years and grew up in the country, this country of which I'm very, very, very proud. It was a new flag for me then, I waved up and down, a new anthem. And that occasion that was etched in my memory. I was probably the proudest Barbadian around. And I really born the same day, same year, same month, same everything. Just that somehow he's older than I am. And the Baroque era and independence saw tremendous growth in this country. It brought hope for my working class parents who experienced hope and progress for their children. It has resulted in most of us developing into what we are now. I was too small to attend the spectacle at the Garrison Savannah, so I had to be contented to listen to the broadcast on Radio Fusion. I couldn't see anything then. So you can appreciate how later it was when students had the opportunity to witness and participate in the 50th anniversary celebrations. I happened to be one of them. And I was too small then, but on that occasion, I had to experience the 50th anniversary, although I could have gotten there. But even the death of my sister that morning didn't stop me. I'm not so sure that I'll see the 100th anniversary. Our students can relive these 50 years through the powerful medium of drama and who and what brought us here. You see, Mr. Chairman, we do very little drama in this country, and it's a powerful teaching and learning tool, and very little writing. We come from an oral tradition, and we refuse to really document what we write. They need, that is, the students need to know and appreciate who and what they are. Mr. Chairman, there's another 50 years that our students need to chart. Maybe students need also to focus on the next 50 years, since that will decide what is this country's future. They must be taught that this land is our land, and that it is fragile. It must be cared for. Hence, the littering must be cut off. And that our greatest resource is our people. Hence, they need to develop themselves. They must build on the legacy of Payne and Adams and Harold Barrow and create their own legacy, since being mere consumers will retard our gains from the last 50 years. Mr. Chairman, this land that is ours, we must all strive to make it the best country in the world. These competitions can only build and allow themselves through drama and through writing. At least they will have a greater audience than the teacher who would merely put a writing pen through that work and put it safely away in some cupboard. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you and I wish you well.
Thank you, Mr. Ivan Clark, Principal of the Hilton Scheme Primary School. Let's give him a round of applause. Unfortunately, I'm still too young to even be close when Barbados became independence, because in 1987 I was born. But to give you more on his feedback as a principal of the secondary school, and I being a teacher in the secondary school system, I think Mr. Vera Paris, who will give us the remarks now, will have a lot to say on this view from the secondary viewpoint. Let's give a welcome remarks to Mr. Vera Paris, the principal of the Humber School and president of the Principals of Secondary School Association.
Thank you, Master of Ceremonies, Ministers of Government, General Secretary of the Democratic Labour Party, officers of the Democratic Labour Party, Mr. Ivan Clark, President of APS, principals, other colleagues in education, students, sponsor Mr. Williams of Promotech, representatives of the media, distinguished guests all. I count myself fortunate to be among the throngs of Barbadians who gathered at Garrison Savannah one indelible night in November 1966 to see the broken trident against the backdrop of gold flanked by ultramarine rise in the midnight sky. To be here in 2016 to participate in the celebration of 50 years of that monumental achievement of national independence is by the grace of God. In that yesteryear, I was a schoolboy being educated. Today, I am a school principal, still being educated, while educating others. School students have long been involved in events of national significance and importance, even when we were calling. To involve them in expressing their thoughts on 50 years of independence through writing and the expressive arts is laudable, not for the mere exercise, but for learning how the youngest generation of Barbadians is thinking. That the medium goes beyond the traditional writing only, which happens to be the easiest to assess, is most commendable, since our understanding of the emotional intelligence of children suggests strongly that there is much more to a child's ability to express self than that which he or she may commit to paper. Perhaps the secondary students could have had that option as well. As we celebrate 50, one cannot help but wonder what significance does this youngest generation attribute to November 30th. We all hope it is much more than a date, another public holiday. We must give them reasons to love their country. Who will give them those reasons? It cannot be the school alone. The parents and the grandparents, who might not have experienced 1966, still have an important role to play in inculcating love of country, significance of nationhood, and the role of the young in building a nation. I trust, therefore, that our generation of educators and parents has done our duty well. Our Golden Jubilee provides one glorious opportunity for us to restate the significance of our national symbols, the flag, the coat of arms, the national anthem, the national pledge. Such a restatement should go beyond the simple meaning of the gold, the ultramarine, and the broken trident in the flag, for example. It should connect in no uncertain terms to the times in which we live. I was privileged to hear such a powerful statement from the lips of Father John Rogers on the modern significance of the broken trident 2 Sundays ago, when the trident found repose in the St. George Parish Church. His contextual anchoring of the trident should be heard by all Barbadians, not just this year, but the next, and the next, and for years to come. In spite of the fact that there was no cataclysmic activity like a war that marked the unclenching of the Barbadian fists from the hemline of Britain, that many countries point to and create monuments about, nor a kicking from the colonial nest at great height like the eagle does its young to force it to fly, our official achievement of independence means and must continue to mean as much to us as theirs to other nations referred to earlier. Barbados has always done things differently, diplomatically, through discussion, but with resolve. That has been our reputation. Hear the words of Mr. Fred Lee, Secretary of State for the Colonies back in 1966, when he greeted the then Premier, Mr. Errol Walton Barrow, for the opening session of the Barbados Constitutional Conference. He stated, and I quote, "Your country has one of the longest traditions of parliamentary government of any country outside of the United Kingdom. Yours is a democratic society, and you are used to doing business by the process of discussion. The aim of all of us will be to devise arrangements under which the people of Barbados can move forward to play an even greater role in Caribbean, Commonwealth, and world affairs than they have done in the past." Unquote. How good would it be for our participating students to evaluate that friendly statement in their essays? Have we succeeded in playing that greater role over the past 50 years in Caribbean, Commonwealth, and world affairs? If so, like the good teacher, we must give our nation high marks. As we celebrate 50, do we as parents or elders in society, as schools or agents of government, do enough to communicate the need to value our own space and our public spaces, buildings and monuments? Do we do enough to maintain them in the best possible condition, given our slender resources? What importance, as an independent people, do we attach to our environment, the natural and the built? How does this fit into our 50th anniversary celebrations? It is timely that the World Flower Show is being staged in Barbados in our 51st year. It gives us an opportunity to connect this event to our celebrations, to sensitize our people during the hype of this year, to transforming our abandoned fields into a well-maintained, productive landscape. An opportunity to ask every Barbadian to create a floral and a foliage garden in both their private and the public spaces, which may be judged leading up to the World Flower Show as an offshoot that brings pride and prizes to our people. Every parish can have its own prize winners, and the best in each parish can be judged for national prizes. Sponsored monetarily significant prizes would be an incentive for Barbadians to invest in our country's beautification. Color features in our local magazines and airline magazines, as well as web features, could lift our image significantly. Imagine what it would do to our tourism product. Just a thought. As I conclude these remarks, and without being political, I dare to say that perhaps every Barbadian should engage in a day of dreaming. Others may say thinking. But let us dream. What if I were the Prime Minister? What would I do? What if I were the Minister responsible for industry, tourism, education, agriculture, home affairs and security, transport and works? What would I do? No criticism must be involved in this exercise. When we awake from our dream, having answered the question, let us take a tip from Mahatma Gandhi and get up, go, and be the change that we want to see. Master of Ceremonies, ladies and gentlemen, I highly commend this school's engagement essay and drama competition and look forward to it being a resounding success. I thank you very much.
Let us give a round of applause to the principal coming here to visit their parents. The Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Van der Steur, on the launch of the 50th Independence celebration, he has said 3 points I always think was very important. And he said, I have put 3 questions on the table for the reflection of my fellow countrymen here and abroad. What are those features of Barbadian life that we have lost and that we need to reclaim? What are those features of Barbadian life, which is second, that we have not lost and we need to retain? And what are those features of Barbadian life that we have not lost, but we have to try and discard as quickly as possible? It is my settled conviction and my considered view that these 3 questions provide an appropriate guide for this nation as we reflect and as we celebrate over the next few months, climaxing in November this year. I think that these were very powerful words and 3 good questions we need to ask ourselves. At this point in time, we welcome the Corporate Sales Manager of Promotech, Mr. Stephen Williams.
Thank you, Master Assembly. Ministers of the Government, General Secretary of the DLP, distinguished guests, parents, teachers, students. I'm overwhelmed to see that we've reached 50 and the progress that we've made. Me going to school and learning about our ancestry and our history and our trail to where we are today. I see that it really comes home to me that how we communicate is changing so much because of how the world is going forward. When the General Secretary reached out to Promotech, it was a yes. It was a yes for many reasons. And the main reasons is for the younger folk who have to pass, that the baton is being passed on to. And it's overwhelming to see that all the hard work that was put in by our great-grandparents is actually showing here today in this room. What I would like to say to the students that are here from Ellerslie and the parents too as well is that when we talk about Barbados, we're no longer seen as a small 166 square mile island. We actually higher than that, very higher, and in every space we go in and we hear the word Barbados, it's no longer which part of Jamaica is that, or where is that? So I must say applause to everyone who is part of the movement and who would like to continue the movement. And on behalf of Promotech, I would like to pledge our support going forward in any initiative like this. And also too, I'm not sure if everyone is aware, we have donated some prizes for those winners. As we all know, the components and tools we use have changed. We can communicate by email, by fax, by WhatsApp, by Snapchat. So it's our responsibility, which we do every day, is to bring technology to the fingertips of the Barbadian public and the corporate houses as well as government to keep us in tune and remain competitive, so that when we do have the opportunity to grow and grow this 50 into 100, that we can probably have our name on the flag at the North or the South Pole and be of more significance to everyone. Thank you again for inviting us, and we look forward to working with us.
Part of the schools competition that we have recognized is that there's also a school that's celebrating its 50th anniversary, and that is the Ellerslie School. And I want you all to stand so that y'all can see the wonderful students of the Ellerslie Secondary School. Students, what is the school's motto?
Make wise use of your time.
Wonderful. Thank you. Every morning, the principal, Major Brather, that's in the audience, reminds us that we must make wise use of your time. And when they go back to their classrooms, which I know they will be, they'll be getting ready with the essays. Right, that the CS is approaching shortly. And that will give them good practice for the English CSE exam. Now, next, we have the backbone, and we call him the backbone of the Democratic Labour Party, especially among the young people. George is the one that can wake you up at 4 o'clock in the morning, message you at 6, and expect a miracle at 7 o'clock. George got moved today. Around 12, expect to see at least 15 students from Ellerslie School by today at 6:30. And I want him to know you always live up to my expectations of you, sir. So, with no further ado, we welcome the General Secretary of the Democratic Labour Party, Mr. George Pilgrim.
Thank you, Master of Ceremonies, Acting Minister of Education, Senator Harper Husbands, President of the Primary School Association, Mr. Clark, President of the Secondary School Association, Mr. Beer Harris, Rec from Tech, members of Cabinet, principals, teachers. I also want to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Astor B. Watts, OBE, who has journeyed from Carrington Village to be here with us. I also want to acknowledge the presence of Ricky Graham, the person who designed the flyers and everything associated with this activity here today from Media Plus. Ricky, thank you. I also want to acknowledge the presence of the media on this occasion and the students from the Executive School Day at Rosslyn. On behalf of the President, the officers, and Executive General Council of the Democratic Labour Party, I wish to express appreciation to the Ministry of Education, Science, Technology, and Innovation for giving permission to host the Independent Schools Engagement Drama and Essay Competition. I want to say at this point in time that this activity is being streamed live. Our intention during the course of our celebration is that every single thing we do, we intend to chronicle this year. And just like the activity we held at 5:30 this evening, everything we've done this evening thus far has been streamed live. I also want to acknowledge Sir Frank, who is joining here, who continues to be a cover strength in her regard. Sir Frank, good evening. I also want to thank all the principals, teachers, and students for attending this evening. The School Engagement Program is an independent initiative which forms part of the party's attempt to have the story of the journey to 50 told in different mediums under the theme Barbados, the Journey to 50. The location within schools, we hope, will act as a catalyst to encourage students of all ages to conduct research and acquire knowledge about what was involved in the policy agenda that moved us from a colony to nationhood. This program in schools is not merely a competition and should not be viewed within such narrow lens. The program represents an attempt to get our students to comprehend a message of sustained attempts to improve our quality of life and to meet the great aspirations of our people. The idea we intend to divide the primary school aspect of the competition into zones. The zones will be allocated according to north, central, and south. This is to reduce the traffic and delays with the judging. We are recommending that we judge at the George Street Auditorium to have effective use of stage and sound equipment for the productions. We are currently in negotiations with the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation, who have asked us to consider us having the opportunity to have the preliminaries recorded. They are seeking local content for all the activities that are being hosted this year by various groups. And with the consent of the parents, we're hoping that CBC can record the drama competition as students perform in the preliminaries. Once upon a time, there was a competition called Junior Talent, which was shot on CBC television. And they're really hoping to have some local content coming out of this activity. The script, according to the rules, need not exceed 8 minutes and should attempt to say through the eyes of students what the research told them about our journey to 50. Essentially trying to dramatize from the policy journey from colony to nationhood. In the brochure for the competition, which you've received, we've outlined the roadmap to have the competition realized. We have a suggested date at the end of March for the drama competition submissions, while a deadline for submission of the script for the drama competition is at the end of March, while the essay deadline is at the end of April. Each primary school can enter only one dramatic piece. We don't want a situation where one school wins first, second, and third in the drama competition. This is not a knapsack 100 meters race. And of course, all entries must be original. The idea is to have 3 dates for judging of the drama competition, the 13th, 20th, and 27th of May. And our proposed suggested time is from 2 p.m. until 4:30 in the evening. Now I want to formally announce the prizes are as follows. For the essay competition, we are offering 1 laptop, second prize 1 tablet, and third prize 1 tablet. We have set a word limit along with the expectations of how the essay is to be formatted and an email address to forward the finished essays to. The email address is barbados50years@gmail, which is published in the brochure. While we are giving individual prizes to the essay competition, we thought it more appropriate to offer cash prizes to the schools. So the drama competition is attracting a school prize and not an individual prize for the students. Instead, the students will each receive a plaque in recognition of their success. The school instead will be given a first prize of $2,500, second prize $1,500, and a third prize of $1,000 to the winning schools. As far as our judges are concerned, I want to announce that our judging panel for the essay competition is headed by Dr. Cora Belgrave of the Faculty of Humanities at University of West Indies, Fairfield campus, while Mr. Simon Ali, a dramatist and a teacher by profession, he forms part of a group called Ramaco, will head the panel of judges for the primary school aspect of the competition. The Independence Initiative is part of the rollout of the education project of the Democratic Labour Party. We hope, as an institution, that we can oversee this project enhancing the knowledge base during academic school year, and thus hoping to retain some things that we have lost. I thank you. God bless. And good evening.
Without further ado, the Acting Minister of Education, Science and Technology and Innovation, Senator Harcourt Haslam, to the stage.
Thank you very much, Mr. Master of Ceremonies. That's the power of the man. Honorable ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, students, parents, principals, I want again to welcome you to this brief launch ceremony this evening. All of the speakers, I know that George gave the vote of thanks and he outlined the competition. All that's left for me really to do is to say that the Ministry of Education endorses this project. Thank you very much for giving me. I'm going to indulge you a bit and say a bit more than that. My good friend, Mr. Clark, he gave the impression, well, he said that he was not at the garrison on Independence Night in 1966. That is true. but I also remember distinctly that when he came to Combermere in September of 1967, that was the first time that he had been to town. So no wonder he was not at a garrison at midnight on November 30th, 1966. He had seen the bright lights of Bridgetown for the first time in 1967. I want though to congratulate the organizers of these two competitions. And I don't want to be, well, I should be, partisan, as it is the Democratic Labour Party. Our educational system functions from its very beginning through the cooperation of lots of stakeholders. And on this occasion, the stakeholder that we are happens to be the Democratic Labour Party. Over the last couple of months, I spent a lot of time. Well, let me apologize for the absence of the Honourable Minister, who is away on government business. Mr. Paris did say that you should, if you were, he said Prime Minister or Minister for a day. I'm going to be Minister for a week, but I tell you, I'm not, knowing politics as I do, I'm not going to do anything. Neither am I going to say anything other than what I know the Minister would want me to say. Yes, on this occasion, this is the Democratic Labour Party that we are thanking for organizing and assisting the Ministry of Education in its activities. I said that we could not have the quality education that we had were it not for the work, the additional work done by many of our stakeholders. Only this month, the Royal Commonwealth Society and people of New Zealand, the various Lions South, all of these are organizations and institutions in Barbados that organize activities that aid and assist us in the educational system with the delivery of education and enhancing the quality of education. And we can't ignore organizations, business entities such as Promotech. They also play a very important part, a very important role in this educational system that we have in Barbados, that we are so proud of, even with all its weaknesses. So I want to give special thank you, special congratulations to the Democratic Labour Party for organizing these two activities, especially in the context of the celebration of our 50th anniversary of independence. But this activity, and I know very carefully that it is drama and essay writing, comes at a time when the Ministry of Education has been promoting science, technology, engineering, and maths, the so-called STEM activity. And this is in keeping with international being placed on science, technology, engineering, and maths. We are told that these are where the good jobs are. The more you know of mathematics, the more engaged you are with technology, the easier. I want the students here to understand this. I say repeatedly, and the media doesn't like me to say, but when I get a chance to speak to students, sometimes they are not the same students, but as a teacher, I know that repetition is a powerful tool. That maybe I was the last, and Mr. Clark, we were the last students who could slip by and be successful without a proper exposure to science, technology, engineering, and particularly mathematics. So we understand that. But I also, each time I get an opportunity to speak at one of these events where we are promoting science, technology, engineering, and maths, I always aim by saying that this push to science, technology, engineering, and maths
should not be at the exclusion of exactly what we are here to promote this evening. So it is to the credit of the sponsor of this activity that they have taken a holistic view of the educational system. It would have been quite easy to, and I noticed that the praises, except for the cash, the main praises again are all based on technology. But the emphasis that this competition places on drama and essay writing, I think, is very important and very timely. We cannot educate our children solely, as important as they are. We cannot educate them solely with an emphasis on the sciences, the natural sciences. We know that exposure to essay writing, exposure to drama, helps to build confidence, helps our students to be more articulate. And these are also activities and skills that are very necessary. So that building of confidence in our students, I am confident that this program, this competition, will play a very important role in that area. I'm currently reading a book called Life in Motion by the first African-American ballerina to be the principal dancer of the American Ballet Theater, Misty Copeland. And she has written about her life, how difficult it was growing up and so on. She was very bright at school, very gifted in maths and science and virtually everything. But it was when she was exposed to dance that her life was transformed. She was shy, reserved, and her exposure to dance, her exposure to the arts and culture and so on, built that confidence necessary for her to step forward. From the time she stepped on that dance floor the very first time, she knew. And this was what she was sent on this world to do. Similarly, our local, I don't know how many of you have read the biography by Mighty Gabby, who Gabby thinks he is. The same point is made that he was gifted in a whole number of things. He could play football, he was a good creator, he could swim well, he could do this, he could do that. But the moment that somebody placed a guitar in his hand and he began to sing, he knew that that was his area and he stepped forward and has made a career, just as Mr. Copeland has. He has made a career out of this, this culture. So we are also imbuing our students when we delve deeply into the areas that will be covered by this competition. We are exposing them to the possibility of very good careers and opportunities in the future. One only has to look around many of our the point that there are very important careers and opportunities in the area, and I'm using poetic license or whatever to take the topics of essay writing, to take the issue of drama and extend it to the cultural industries. The Minister of Culture is here. Government has played a very important role in promoting careers and opportunities that can be derived from your, speaking to the young people here, your exposure in these areas. The Cultural Industries Act has been passed in Parliament. The Cultural Industries Authority has been established to promote opportunities based on the cultural activity that usually begins in the school. So young people now have the opportunity because of this government initiative. The Cultural Industries Authority not only promotes the skill, but offers various tax incentives and so on and so forth to promote the arts. So you have an opportunity. I want to take just a bit of a difference with Mr. Clark. When I look around, I see an explosion in Barbados of books written and published by Barbadians. Books written by our people, written about themselves, written about their experiences. And there are quite a few in the bookstores when you go into there. There is one Barbadian American, Ken Herwood, a professor in the USA, who writes about his school days at Society School. There are several other books written, and there's an explosion, I think, currently. The coming of the Cultural Industries Bill and so on. So I look forward, as a result of the opportunities that government has outlined in the Cultural Industries Bill, to even more activity, even more participation, even more employment opportunities in the area of culture. But this I think is major development, and I've lost my way, as you guess. This explosion. Oh, there are two other aspects of this publishing that I want to draw to your attention. I read a book recently by a white Barbadian, John Chandler, called Hotel Barbados. And in this book, it is again a semi-autobiography about a man who ran a hotel, a white Barbadian. But in this book, he's writing about himself, his experiences and so on. But there is so much history, there is so much sociology. It is a sociological text about Barbados, written better than, and with more information, if you're perceptive, than the average sociology professor can produce. These are things that I recommend to you. Also, I can't let this opportunity pass without paying some tribute to those people who produced the Journal of the Barbados Museum and Historical Society. If you have not seen it in recent times, I recommend that you look at it. It may not contain in every issue things that you are interested in, but I cannot think of, and this is going on in Barbados as we speak, I cannot think of in the Caribbean a journal of the quality and depth of what is produced here in Barbados at our own museum. Again, I think I recognize this explosion in work by Barbadians, and I'm confident that this competition will only nurture the competition, combined with the advantages of the Cultural Industries Bill, will only advance and cause greater fruit to grow, flowers to flourish, to be poetic, or some attempt at it, out of this activity. Let me close by saying to the young people that despite all that you may hear on the television or read in the newspaper, I'm of the view that you are part of, if not the most successful, but one of the most successful generations in this country's history. If you look at a diverse set of areas. In academics, last year we had more Barbadian scholars than we had money to support them in university. More Barbadian young people, more Barbadian young athletes are operating today at an international standard. Don't just focus on winning medals, but if you are in the finals of the World Championships, even though you come last, you are in the top 10 in the world in your profession. There are more Barbadian young people in the highest levels of athletics and then other sporting activities. Most of the West Indies cricket team is made up of Barbadians. True, most of them are from Congo-Mare. Up and on. But they're Barbadian. When the floods and hurricane hit Dominica, it was Barbadian young people in the defense force that responded with such courage that one could not believe it. So you are part of a very successful generation, and this is based largely on the basis that has been laid before independence, but also after independence. The structures that have been built in this country. And I'm not speaking as a citizen of the freest black country in the world. I consider that an insult. I'm speaking as a citizen of one of the freest countries in the world. I don't have to qualify it by saying black. There aren't many countries with the opportunities for young people that we have in this country. Opportunities that have been created since independence, because you are young, not like Mr. Clark, who was not able to come to town on Independence Night. You're young, so you may not fully appreciate and understand these things. But I'm confident that with stakeholders like the Democratic Labour Party and those who assist the educational system generally, and the way that I see our young people stepping forward to take advantage of the opportunities that exist, I'm confident that the future of this country is sound, and we can look forward fully and proudly to the next 50 years. Again, I end by congratulating the Democratic Labour Party for sponsorship of these activities this evening, and you have the full endorsement of the Ministry of Education. I thank you.
Once again, let's thank the Acting Minister of Education, Senator Francis. At this point in time, let me apologize for the party leader, the Prime Minister of Barbados, the Honorable Fernando Stewart. Right now, he's in Belize on government business, but I know that he'll be surely missed and proud to be here to see this event come alive for sure. At this point in time, to end this event, we invite Ms. Trudy Harris, a primary school teacher, to give a vote of thanks. Let's give her a round of applause.
Good evening to everyone. Protocol having been established several times, it's my privilege to publicly acknowledge and thank those persons who contributed to this evening's event. Firstly, those who participated in the actual program. Kiana Clark, the head girl from the Sela Primary School, who opened the night with a poetic word of prayer. Thank you for bringing an element of student participation to tonight's launch, as the school engagement competition is to be a student-centered exercise. Also, let me thank the students from Ellerslie Secondary School who are here tonight. Mr. Jones probably had to rustle you together, so I don't know if you are here voluntarily, but we look forward to your participation in this exercise. To the president of the Principals of Primary Schools Association, Mr. Ivan Clark, and his counterpart in the secondary schools, Mr. Bear Harris. As administrators, we appreciate you taking the time out to attend this evening's event and look forward to the participation of your schools as well as others. And from what both of you said, we understand that the event is very well endorsed from your opinion. I want to thank the Ministry of Education, Science, Technology and Innovation for sanctioning the program, and by extension, Parliamentary Secretary, Senator Harry Husbands, who delivered remarks on their behalf and gave us a list of books if you're looking for any reading. He gave us an insight on what he's reading. To the General Secretary of the Democratic Labour Party, Mr. George Pilgrim, thank you not only for your remarks and preempting most of what I have to say, but that is his role as General Secretary to ensure all bases are covered. Thank you for the part you played in bringing the school's engagement activity from idea to its formal launch tonight. To Ms. Quincy Jones, our MC, thank you for moving us through the program in your usual easygoing style. This entire exercise could not be possible without input from Promotech, the major sponsor, and I want to acknowledge Mr. Steve Williams. We know your company is mostly technology oriented, but your presence here acknowledges also the importance of the written word, which will never be diminished. Thanks to the management and staff of Almond Bay for making the venue and amenities available. Future Shop for streaming the event live online. Media Plus and Tropical Printery, respectively, for designing and printing the brochures. In the audience tonight, we also have Sir Frank Aline. We have some officers and members of the Democratic Labour Party. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules, especially the two ministries of government, and gracing us with your presence, and as usual, supporting the work of the Democratic Labour Party. At this point, I will also acknowledge those who agreed to be judges for the competition. Dr. Cora Belgrave and Mr. Simon Aline, thank you for accepting that responsibility. To the members of the press, thank you for attending this evening, and we look forward to your cooperation, re-coverage of both competitions when they begin. And finally, to the staff of the DLP, and I will call them by name, Mona, Winston, and Serena. We thank you for all your hard work putting together all aspects of this activity, and we know your work does not end with tonight's launch. Actually, it will intensify from here. But we thank you for your efforts, which I know will be sustained until the end of the competition. Thank you all for attending. We invite you to enjoy some light refreshments outside after, and good night.
All right.